What's a boots with the Canucks?
Get out of here. What are you talking about?
This is Rudkowski of WeAreChange.org here at Acapulco, the third year of this amazing conference, all the way at the end. And today we are joined by a very special guest, the one and only Dan Dicks of PressForTruth.ca, an amazing investigative journalist based out of Canada. And in this video, we're going to be talking about all the latest insane laws, the latest updates on what's happening up north from the United States. Because seriously, these developments that are happening right now in Canada, they're extremely serious for the future of free speech, the future of free expression, the future of having a free and open society. And as we know, a lot of times the Canucks test out things and then they implement them through their policies and make them normal for the Americans. So, I mean, Dan, how are you and what's happening with the Canucks?
All right, there's two major bills on the table right now that are actually threatening our free speech in Canada. And we're going to talk about Bill C-16 and Motion 103, which just became a bill a couple of days ago. C-16, this is the one that has now added gender identity and gender equality to the Criminal Code of Canada, so that if you do not recognize someone else's pronoun, let's say you choose to identify yourself as a female, and I refuse to call you a he, a she, and I want to call you a he, under this law, I could be getting arrested as hate crime for not recognizing your gender. This is still just a bill that's on the table, but this could be passing into law very, very soon. The second one, M103, deals with this concept of Islamophobia, which is a really ridiculous term in the first place. And that's going to, again, essentially, anytime anybody speaks out against the compatibility that Islam might have with Western Christian values, you could be put in jail for questioning such a thing if this bill passes. And it's now on the table. They're going to be voting on this. This could become a law any day now. So our free speech is absolutely being threatened in a big way in Canada.
Free speech is the major enemy for any tyrannies, and as we're seeing unfolding in Canada right now, these laws are extremely also very vague, so they could be interpreted and used in many different ways to suppress people and stop them from expressing themselves. Now, sure, I don't like people who are sexist or racist or Islamophobic at all, but we have to understand that what we're seeing is also a transformation online and social media with people who are expressing themselves, making jokes about things, being persecuted and sent to jail. Like there was a specific case up in Canada of a guy facing a jail because he called someone a fat ass. Can you explain just some of the ramifications and how free speech is almost at its limits, at its end in Canada?
We just had a guy from Montreal just about a month ago being arrested because of a Facebook post that he posted talking about Islam. He didn't make any threats. He wasn't violent in any way. He just voiced his displeasure with the Islamification of Quebec that he was seeing. For that, this man was arrested and taken away and put into jail. And in fact, the Quebec police hired 55 people to monitor online activity to watch out for any kind of this Islamophobic talk, right? So this guy's been arrested, so it's already happening. The bills are on the table, but they're still going ahead and just arresting people for this anyways. Yeah. So they're already cracking down.
Yeah. The case that I mentioned was even a separate case that was happening there. And we are already seeing the kind of suppression, the kind of Orwellian doublespeak and double standards with social media companies like Twitter and Facebook using their kind of platforms as a way to censor critical thinking, censor jokes, or even censor the trolls. And if you're on the internet, trolls are what makes the internet great. I don't enjoy getting made fun of for looking like Putin or having a big-ass nose or talking about my hairline, but I'm not ever going to step in a way and say that person should be arrested because they're making fun of somebody. I think we're definitely seeing a way where the government is not only overstepping its power, but they're going to create something that will ultimately kick everyone in the butt, because if a right-wing government comes into power in Canada, they could use the same things against people who criticize their voting bloc. And people have to understand this is not a left and right issue. This is about a government power issue, because if you give the government the power, censor and arrest people for free speech, they're going to use it against you eventually. The transition of power. All these Obama-tards that I talk to, I'm like, how do you feel about giving Donald Trump the authority authority and right to kill and assassinate, murder, torture any American citizens he wants, because that's what he made the law. That's what he did. And all the Americans were silent about it because their boy was doing it. Their part was doing it. Now, how do you feel with Donald Trump having that power? So let's talk about Trudeau, because I know you made the Trudeau deception. He's in power right now. How do you see this whole situation with him unfolding? Do you see him playing along with it? I know there was some speculation that he was going to be a good guy, but you, of course, were always very on it, like always, saying he's a politician, he's a part of the state, he needs to be held accountable, and you were very critical of him.
We called it on Trudeau, years before he became Prime Minister of Canada. We were warning what he was going to do. We warned people that he was riding in on the cannabis ticket to try to get the vote from all the medical marijuana users and recreational marijuana users in Canada. He rode in on that ticket, and I think people are realizing now, after it have been over a year since he's been the Prime Minister of Canada, nothing has been done. It really is just the stroke of a pen, and we could be moving towards this. He's still arresting cannabis users all across the country. So I think just by his own actions, he's very clear that he's not working in the best interests of the Canadian people. So in terms of free speech and these bills, I have no optimistic hope that the Prime Minister is going to be working on our behalf. He's a feminist, an outspoken feminist. He's the one really pushing this Islamophobia thing that's building up in Canada, really, by trying to be the counter to Trump. Welcome them all in with open arms. And it's creating a lot of problems. And now when somebody like myself, talks about some of the potential issues there, I'm being threatened with violence. People are saying I'm going to get #Spencered, because I'm talking out against these potential things. So Trudeau, there is no hope there. We can't be looking to our politicians to help us with our free speech. He's only going to continue to stifle it. We need to find ways to just continue to put our opinions and our voices out there, because opinions, ideas, these are the things that matter. These are the things that are going to change the world. So we can't let them stifle that for us.
Yeah. And race and sex are used as a way to divide people from that one common goal, humanity coming together and realizing that no one should have authority over them. But they use it as a way to pin us against each other. But understand, ultimately, at the end of the day, they're going to use that power against you eventually, because that's what government do, and that's what governments have been doing for a while. But this is an important issue, because the issues of sex and race, it's something that me and Dan have been working together for too long. We're old men. We got white hairs now. We started out this clean and fresh, totally young, 11 years. 11 years we've been doing it. Sex and race and religion never has been a major issue for us. We don't really give a damn what religion you practice, what sex you are, what you identify as. It doesn't matter to us. What has always mattered to us is the state, the government, the elites, the secret powers that be who rule things behind the shadows of government. And to me, that is a lot more important aspect to study. But now we're seeing it being pushed into society on such a mass level. How do you see everything unfolding throughout the last 11 years? Because it really seems to be an increase in the kind of divide and conquer apparatuses that are being used against the people on greater levels than we have seen before.
Well, while we're seeing this divide and conquer tactic happening, I think there's equal and opposite reaction happening in that freedom-minded individuals, lovers of liberty, are seeing what's happening before their very eyes, and they're starting to connect and network more so with one another. That's why we're at Anarchapulco this year. It's all about coming down and meeting like-minded people who are into these sorts of things, figuring out the ways we can work with one another, as we've been doing over the last 11 years, so that we can bring this to a place where it needs to be. Where we're not being thrown in jail just for questioning the authority of the state.
Which we have before. Me and Dan have been in jail in Copenhagen for questioning the Bilderberg Group organizers, and we're just like, hey, what are you guys doing here? Bam, in jail. There's no reason at all. But anyway, Dan's an awesome human being. Any last final words for the audience out there?
Try not to just stay out of trouble. If you're going to stay in your house, make sure you have a clean roof, and make sure the shingles on your roof are nice in your house.
That's Dan Dicks of PressForTruth.ca. The link will be in the description below for his website. And of course, thank you, you beautiful, amazing human beings, for watching, subscribing, staying tuned, and supporting real independent media here on youtube.com/WeAreChange.